All right, as you guys saw from the title, today's video is pretty interesting, and I don't think there's anybody in the reselling community talking about this. And so I think it's an important topic to discuss, maybe to peel back a couple of layers like an onion and see. Let me know your guys' thoughts at the end of this video, what you guys think about this controversial reselling topic. My name is Drew. I'm a full-time reseller. I sell on multiple marketplaces online, and I buy stuff at thrift stores, garage sales, and flea markets, and I flip them for profit online. Today's topic is really specifically about thrift stores. It's probably something that's done more than that's what's talked about. It's pretty controversial in my opinion, and it can open up to a lot of discussion. I want you guys to engage and let me know in the comment section what your thoughts are about this topic, if you think it's right or wrong, and I'm going to share my opinions in this video right now. This is a topic that I think is something that should probably be open and discussed about more. The topic is paying Goodwill employees for resources, for inventory, for items. And maybe not just Goodwill, maybe thrift stores in general, or maybe, I don't know, other types of ways of sourcing that I haven't included, maybe having connections with estate sale buyers. But I think this topic is becoming brought out in the reselling community. People are starting to become more proud of it and sharing it rather than hiding it. And here's where I want to share my thoughts and opinions. When I first started hearing about this trend online, on Instagram mostly, it kind of threw me off guard because I'm thinking to myself, these people are actually paying Goodwill or thrift store employees for before they put stuff out on the shelves to hold it in the back. Now, I think it goes without being said that a lot of people have been saying that their thrift stores have been dry, that quality has changed, that inventory isn't as good as it used to be, prices are going up like they haven't before. And you're seeing electronics being listed, or not listed, being priced at $100 or $65 for a DVD combo unit at a Goodwill when they used to be $10.99, $15. And I think it's very important to note that as resellers, as we grow in this community, as we grow our businesses, as things change, we have to adapt to those markets. And for me, one of the ways I'm doing that is by sourcing items that are readily available all the time. Goodwill seems to be overpricing shoes in my area by just a little bit, but it hasn't been as crazy as the electronics category or any other major categories, even clothing. You're finding that jeans used to be $4.19, then they went to $6.99, then $8.99, and now they're $16.99. It's getting a little crazy out there, but shoes is something that I can find in abundance, especially at flea markets, so I'm really enjoying selling in that category. I still sell in other categories as well, but I am picking up stuff that is readily available, and I'm not going to sit and complain about Goodwill or other thrift stores overpricing golf clubs or electronics or printers or any other things that I like to sell, because you know what? If it's not a price that I'm willing to pay, I just have to move on. Irregardless of all of that, the main topic of this video is talking about resellers who are paying thrift store employees to hold items for them so that they can get the profitable items. And like I said, at first I was thrown off by this and I was a little discouraged because I'm thinking to myself, probably just like every single one of you that's hearing about this, maybe for the first time, I was thinking to myself, well, dang, that's why I'm not finding anything at thrift stores, or man, this is going to be really hard for me, or why are the managers allowing it? All these things start going through my head. And the first things that I process on the frustration side is the items are not going to be available for me to get. This is going to cause other items to get more expensive in price because resellers are now telling employees what the value of something is or what a good brand is. And even if the employee doesn't hold it for them, it's now going to be priced up or put in a glass case. Those ideas start to go through my head at first. I will share my feelings about this on both sides of the spectrum because I try to think like a businessman. So the other side of the coin, without going into too much detail about all the angry stuff, why I would be angry at these types of people. The other side of the coin is the business perspective. I think that from a business perspective, it's very respectable when you look at it in a broader spectrum than just these other people are selfish and they're stealing all the good stuff from Goodwill. Goodwill was already putting stuff on shopgoodwill.com. They already follow tons of influencers on Instagram and YouTube. And so it's not like this is a new thing. You know what I mean? These items, Nintendo 64s, GameCubes, high-end brands, luxury brands, Burberry, Louis Vuitton, whatever. This stuff is not like a hidden secret in the reselling community that thrift stores don't know about. They've known about this stuff for quite some time, and then Shop Goodwill started really picking up, and that's one of the things that I thought that, was holding back a lot of inventory from opportunities for us like resellers to walk in and find stuff. And so from a business side, it didn't really bother me too much when I sat back and thought about it, because I think to myself, okay, of the average reseller, how many people are actually willing to pay an employee to hold something for them? How much are they actually paying the employee? And then how many employees are actually going through with this? So when you start to break it down, you have almost like a tiered system almost. And I think it's important to know that you have to break this down before you get emotional and just start getting enraged that resellers are, paying off Goodwill employees. I personally have never done this. I've never asked a Goodwill employee for it. But from a business perspective, I kind of respect the hustle. I mean, you got to imagine a reseller walks into one thrift store, talks to one employee, and says something along the lines of, hey, would you be willing to hold certain items for me if I paid you under the table? First of all, it's really risky to do something like that, because how many employees are actually going to do it? For the most part, Goodwill, Salvation Army, they're helping out underprivileged people or people who are trying to get back up on their feet with jobs and things like that. So not many of them really understand what resellers are doing in the first place. So that's kind of like phase one. Is like asking the reseller goes in and asks an employee. Then phase two is if the employee says yes, then you have to tell that employee what kind of products and brands to look out for and to hold for that person. That's a whole nother conversation. And so then you kind of go deeper than that, is then you spread out from multiple, it's like reselling on multiple platforms. Then you have to go to multiple thrift stores and find that right employee. It's the salesman perspective, like the salesman pitch is like, you have to call 40 people for a sales pitch to get 3 people to say yes. And of those 3 people, you might get 1 sale. So imagine being a reseller who's looking for inventory just like everybody else, going to Goodwill, going to Salvation Army, and then on top of their actual thrifting, now they're making extra efforts, they're spending more time, they're grinding, in my opinion, they're hustling, to come up with a creative way, which some of you may not say it's creative. I'm not necessarily saying it's creative. I'm just using that term. A different way to get inventory. Now, I've seen Goodwill managers hold stuff in the back. I've seen people get jobs at Goodwill to be first pickers. I've seen people at the bins do the same thing. And so it's not exactly necessarily something new, but it's not something that's discussed a lot. And so when it comes to these types of people, I kind of have some respect for them, because it takes so much more effort and work for that to go into play. Like, I've never really thought, let me go into a Goodwill, let me train an employee on brands that are profitable so that I can make money and then pay them to hold those things in the back for me. And on top of that, that Goodwill employee doesn't work every day. They may not be in the back pricing or sorting items every day. And so there's this broad road that these resellers that are doing this are trying to narrow down such a small percentage of reselling opportunity. To me, it doesn't really seem like something to get that worked up over, but I see people like flipping a lid and losing it over these types of resellers. And to be honest, if you are getting upset at other people doing whatever they can to grow their business, whether you believe it's ethical or not, or morally right, as far as, paying a Goodwill employee under the table or something like that, again, I don't necessarily agree with it, but at the same time, I can't disregard the fact that they're doing something that I'm not doing. They're putting extra time in to try to build these relationships with managers, with employees, to say, hey, let me get first dibs at, clothing when it comes out. Look out for single stitch t-shirts. I actually am in an Instagram group where I know one specific guy who is friends with a manager there, because he goes to that store every single day, and the manager texts him pictures of video games and vintage clothing that comes in. He has built a relationship over multiple years with this manager, to get into this position where this person sees that they're spending a lot of money in the store and says, hey, we just got a Nintendo 64 and if you want first dibs, we're going to price it at this point. You can come pick it up. To me, that's what you would call networking, to be honest. And so from a business perspective, I know I keep using that side of it, but there's like the emotional side and then there's the business side. The emotional side is just being jealous that somebody else is getting a good deal or getting something before it comes out on the rack. The business side is, okay, this is actually working. Should this be something that I implement in my business, or can I implement this, or can I take a nugget of this type of business model and apply it to my business? You may not have to pay employees under the table for good deals or for first dibs on something, but if you are the type of reseller that has your route, you have a routine, you go to the same stores every day, every 4 days, whatever, and you're always in that store, the manager knows you, maybe it's time to take that next step and say, hey, if you guys get, pallets of unwanted stuff that you're willing to sell, let me know, I buy in wholesale. I mean, that's really how business grows, is by taking those steps to put yourself out there, to tell somebody your name, to build a connection, to network with someone or some place that, it could be a mom and pop thrift store, or it could be a Goodwill where I don't know if their corporate is like about numbers, like how much stuff they push through the store. But if that's the case, then you're looking at a really good opportunity here for maybe someone to walk into a Goodwill and say like, hey, I live in the area. I've been shopping at this Goodwill for 3 or 4 years. And if you guys ever come across multiple quantities of Guitar Hero guitars or bins of shoes and you guys are overloaded in the store, I'd love to have an opportunity to buy a Gaylord of shoes from you. I have seen people make those connections before, and they're buying Gaylord bulk of, multiple quantity items. Some Goodwills get like Target returns, like the Goodwill superstores. They get Target returns and Amazon returns, some of those superstores. And so, you know what? At the end of the day, I really can't knock these people for what they're doing, because if I'm seeing something that's working for somebody else, maybe it's time to either apply it to my business or take a step back and see like, okay, as long as this isn't morally or ethically illegal, then you kind of play that ground of, what is right and what is wrong. I think that if you're paying Goodwill employees under the table and trying to sneak past management or corporate, maybe, it could cause trouble in the future, because if that Goodwill employee gets caught doing that and they find out that it was you could get banned from that store. Certain stores operate in different ways. Some managers are cooler than others. Some managers are willing to work out bulk deals. Some managers will tell you, hey, we bring out new shoes every day at 4 o'clock before we restock the store. Some managers won't do that. Sometimes they bring out stuff at random times of the day. Every Goodwill, every thrift store is different. And so sometimes you just have to feel that out and see what is right and what is, what is going on in your area. I know personally one person that I follow on Instagram. He is local to where I live, and I saw him get a employee from a thrift store, handed him a pair of Doc Marten X Pendleton collab like shoes, Oxford shoes. For whatever reason, how those got donated to Goodwill, I don't know. And then on top of that, for this person to have to be able to educate this employee that this was a good brand of shoes to hold for him. I mean, I think about all the stuff that goes through my mind when I'm thinking about this process. Like, hey, I'd be willing to pay you $5 a pair for, if you find me good shoes. I'd be willing to pay you X amount if you find me good shirts, whatever. And then, okay, what do I have to teach this person? Single stitch, made in the USA, Doc Martens, Vapor Max. Like, I'm thinking about all the brands and products that you have to share with this person. And I mean, I guess you could say like, here's a link to my eBay store. Here's the stuff I like to sell. But then you probably are also going to have those employees who take that opportunity to start reselling for themselves. So that $5 may not be worth it to them. Maybe they put it on the shelf and then at the end of the day, they go buy it, or they have their mom or dad or someone come in, a friend, and buy it, and then they resell it. You know what I mean? So there's so many, ins and outs of this business model or this practice that I really can't knock the person for trying. That's just business. I don't think that that's giving anybody an unfair or giving other resellers an unfair advantage. I feel like more it's in this market, in this industry, you have to get more creative with what you're doing. You can't just walk into Goodwill every single day for the rest of your life and expect to find grails. Find those, you got to really step out of your comfort zone and maybe do something different. Maybe go to an estate sale, an hour early and, see if there's, early access, or go to a flea market at 5 a.m. before people start setting up at the booths and, say like, hey, would you be willing to let me go through your stuff? Some people will get offended by that, but other vendors would be more than happy to make money before the flea market even opens. Some people, garage sales, this is another example that's been going on for a long time. Garage sales. You see a garage sale posted on Craigslist or Facebook or any other, app or platform, and you see something you like. The ad says, please do not show up until 8 o'clock. Garage sale does not start till 8. Well, then you show up at 7:30 and you say, hey, I was interested in this video game console. Would you be willing to open the garage sale early? A lot of people get offended at that kind of stuff. Some people say it's wrong because that person said don't start till 8. And then some people think it's a way of getting a clear competitive advantage. Like, it doesn't hurt to ask. And if they say no, then I sit in my car and I wait for the garage sale to open. At least that person knew that I was interested in that item. And when the garage sale opens at 8, hopefully I'll be able to get first dibs at it. And so maybe that's another way to think about it is, a lot of people do that with garage sales. And this is kind of what's starting to happen with thrift stores. And don't be surprised when you see more people sharing about it and posting about it on social media that they found a employee that they could become friends with because they saw him every day, and then they started telling him what they were picking up, and then that employee is holding stuff for them in the back. You just have to adapt and move on if that's not your business strategy. Keep going to Goodwill and sourcing the stuff that you like, or you have to get more competitive or more creative or more aggressive in your business strategies to keep up with the Joneses of reselling, because it's just like technology. Technology is going to grow. Technology is going to advance. The people who, basically said that you could never have internet access on your phone, 15 years ago, are now all on iPhones, with internet access at the touch of their fingers. And so, you think about the evolution of technology and the evolution of business. Real estate has changed. It used to be everything was manually on paper and you had to go look at a house before you could make an offer. You had to meet the owners. Now you can digitally view a house and you can make an offer on it and submit it over the internet and buy a house without even stepping foot in it. You can buy a car on Carvana and it'll be delivered to your door. Uber saw an opportunity where they could get a competitive advantage over cab drivers by having people use their own cars. And now it's a $1 billion industry. So when you break down business models from Uber to, other companies, it's all the same thing. Companies that started selling their product online, like Walmart.com, it's all evolution of business. And so to be honest, at the end of the day, I don't know if it's something that I'm going to put my time into by trying to make relationships with employees and pay them under the table. If an opportunity with a manager presents itself where they see me buying a lot of stuff and I say, hey, this is the type of stuff I buy. If you guys come into bulk quantities, I could give you my phone number or something like that. Of course, I'm going to do that. But my business model right now does not allot me the time that I think is worth it to do that. But maybe you find in your area that it will be worth it because you see that you're missing out on those opportunities. So there you have it, guys. The most controversial topic in reselling is people paying employees, I guess. But to me, I see it more as the evolution of business. And it's just the way that things are going to go. The business model is always changing, and we have to be willing to adapt to that. Instead of just complaining and letting our businesses fail, we have to either go around it, go through it, go over it, or go under it, and overcome these obstacles, I guess you could say, and just become better. It's the only way to grow your business. It's the only way to get better, to make more money, to get stronger is, follow in people's footsteps. A lot of people said that Bitcoin was a scam, and now look at it. The people who bought Bitcoin when it was less than a penny are multi-millionaires. The same thing with NFTs. A lot of people don't believe in NFTs. And some NFTs are selling for millions and millions and millions of dollars. And so I think with all of that being said, we have to maybe take a step back before we get offended and look and say, okay, is this actually the future of where reselling is going? Is this the future of thrift stores? Is it the person who can buy them out the most? Is it the person who can make a connection the quickest? There's so many things to think about, but I want to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you think that this is a topic that should be expanded on more, I'd love to do a live reselling talk and maybe bring in some other resellers and talk about this topic as well. Maybe invite one or two who are actually doing this and see if they'd be willing to come live with me. But anyway, that's the topic, guys. Let me know your thoughts. Leave a like on this video if you found it interesting or you thought it was something that you had never heard of before. If I was able to change your mind a little bit or give you some perspective about the process and the business side versus the emotional side, don't let your emotions run your business, guys. Your emotions can get in the way of actually thinking about what is your next step in your business. And so hopefully this helps you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I enjoy making these kinds of videos for you. And so if you do, hit the thumbs up button and I'll continue to make them. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace, money.